We are starting our very first Elden Ring ranking. This time around, we are doing our top 15 boss rankings. Today, I have with me, starting left from right, Colby, Maddie B, myself, Tyler, and Quent. And we are going to reveal from 15 to 1 our bosses. The discussion is going to be relatively freeform. And we'll try our best to hone in on the bosses that we talk about. I'll try to have some corresponding footage, as well as being able to basically keep up an opinionated format between each other while keeping it relatively civil. Um, so, starting from left to right, we might as well introduce ourselves. Go ahead and tell me about either your Elden Ring experience and your build, what you thought of the bosses, and what your takeaways from the gameplay as a whole was.
Hi, this game's pretty good. I play an all melee build. Get my ass beat by like 95% of these bosses, but have fun most of the time.
All right, Maddie B, what do you think about the game and bosses?
Uh, this game's a 9 out of 10. I was a faith build. Currently second playthrough, which is a strength build. So yeah.
All right. Then myself, I primarily did intellect and faith with a few different strength and dex weapons to go along with it. Um, I thought my experience as a whole was mostly co-op. Around 80 to 90% was with other people, other players specifically, aiding me in my fights with nearly all the bosses. This obviously immediately draws attention to whether or not this is simplifying the game. And arguably, yes, it does. And I had tons of more fun because of that. Some of the later game bosses were even more exciting this way because their health increases were so exponential that it genuinely became difficult keeping everyone alive and trying to get through these bosses as a team. Either way, a lot of it was incredibly fun for me, but looking back, I could see that some of the design and bosses were a little too much and too not or either too redundant or a little too simplistic in some areas, but there are definitely a few standouts. Tyler, on to you
Um,
now.
so I was mostly intelligence build with a little bit of dex thrown in there towards the end, and I dabbled with just about every int weapon that there possibly is. Um, I partook in the co-op portion of Justin's game, but I did do a lot of the stuff on my own as well, so I have a little bit of both going for me. Um, Overall, I thought the game was really good, especially for pretty much my first experience for a From Software game. Um, I barely played Bloodborne and barely played Dark Souls 1, so this is pretty much my first experience here, and I really enjoyed it.
And Quent, finish us off.
So I'm like heavily mixed on Elden Ring as a game because I've played every single From Software game. The only one I haven't played is Sekiro. I think Elden Ring's a great game, obviously, but I have a lot of problems with it as well. So I played the game 3 times. I used pure strength build, a pure dex build, and then a quality build when I played with Justin. And I played with Justin on my third playthrough for like most of it. Most well, not most of it. I would say like mid, late to late game to end game was when I was like playing the most with Justin. So I think I have a really good grasp on a lot of the bosses and a lot of the design philosophies in this game. But I'm also not that conceited to think that I have the best opinion because obviously it's going to be different per person. So, but I'm pretty confident in my rankings, and I think it'll be interesting to see what happens.
All right. And without further ado, any other thing that I want to cover? No. All right. Without further ado, let us break down our rank 15 for the 5 of us. Okay, hold on. I think the easiest way to do this is like this. It's hard because I can't see it, but that's fine. All right, is everyone ready?
Yep.
We have Fire Giant for Quent.
Oh, let's go.
Godskin Noble for
Fire
Tyler.
Giant.
Godskin
Dang.
Duo for Maddie
Let's go,
B.
Tyler.
Estelle for myself. And Fire Giant for Colby. 2 Fire Giants. 2
Let's go.
Godskin
Thank God.
prototypes and Estelle. So I guess we could start with Fire Giant. If Quent or Colby wants to talk about Fire Giant first, he seems to be good enough to break top 15. What do we think about Fire Giant?
I'll let
Well,
you
go ahead.
first.
You start.
No, I was about to
Oh,
say,
you want me to
yeah,
start?
no, I feel pretty passionate about this boss, so I'm
Oh,
gonna
I
let
do
you
too.
take the stage first.
All right. I'll start. Let me just say this: Fire Giant is literally a Dark Souls PvP player. You want to know why? Because he loves to spam roll. One issue I have with Fire Giant, and like he only reaches top 15 because I think he's a really cool looking boss. His arena is way too big. It is so big. I'll give them the benefit of a doubt because you can use Torrent, but that does not help things very much considering his weak point is on his right leg, or actually it's his left leg now that I think about it. But like, so you have to go under his left leg, right? And like, you can't see what the fuck he's doing. So if he rolls or come on and slam welcome to the Jamsy or whatever, you just like have to guess. Not the biggest fan of that.
Honestly, like he looks pretty cool. Like his cutscene is like kind of cool, and like the area just itself, it's like I like the snowy mountains and everything, and like it really feels like you're nearing the end of the game when you get to him. But oh my god, is this boss bad? I like his like starting with like his big like bowl or whatever the hell he flips and just causes that huge like earthquake. I think that attack is just absolutely awful. The fact like Quint said, like where he rolls around, like his face too is absolutely horrid in my opinion. Like he was like barely made my list. I did not want to put him up here, but there he is.
I'm giving him an honorable mention in 15 because again, he's like he looks cool and like the setting is cool. It's at the top of a mountain. There's this fucking giant forge behind him. Like it's cool, but he just sucks. And also like another problem is like he feels like every other giant that you fight. He just has a few different little things, but otherwise he's the exact same shit, which I'm not a fan of.
So, obviously, Quint mentioned the health bar fucking shooting to the stratosphere with dealing with it in multiplayer. However, with how ridiculous his movement was, and how sort of static he is when he's not rolling everywhere, it made the fight pretty fun for multiplayer. Not because it was arbitrarily better with more people, because only his health bar went up, but it sort of was one of the hardest fights for me throughout my playthrough, and especially with friends, it was incredibly fun just throwing ourselves at him when it wasn't like too difficult to dodge, and we were all at a point where we'd be able to take a hit at least and get away. But I do definitely see some of your points now, Colby, and definitely think that he isn't as unique or different to like a basic troll in its first phase, and then in its second phase the meteor shower can be a little ridiculous. And then the meteor shower can be a little ridiculous with some of its hitbox just like barely touching you and you not being able to tell a lot of the times where those stones
Do you
are
know
landing.
what the biggest highlight of Fire Giant is? You can summon
the lore
Alexander to fight him.
implications. Oh,
Yeah.
That's
That's
literally
fair.
the biggest highlight for me.
That is true.
I didn't even know this. I need to go back to it.
Yeah, if you do his quest line, like if you get far enough with it, you can actually summon him for Fire Giant. It's pretty cool.
Okay, so before we get into, sorry, Tyler or Mehdi.
I do want to make a point. Yeah.
Before I didn't get to say this, however, the only thing is I sort of very tinily know the list. So what I want to do is not be able to let people. So if you didn't want to make a point because your point would imply like you had Fire Giant at like 1 or 2 or something like that. Like that's obviously I'm gonna that didn't happen. I guess if you don't care, I guess we wouldn't care, right? So who gives a shit?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair enough.
Just say whatever you want. Like if you like the boss and just say that you like it, you don't have to reveal your position.
All right, that helps me then. All right,
Yeah.
all right, that's perfect then. Yeah. All right.
Are we good?
Yeah, go.
Okay, yeah. So with Fire Giant, like I, to a degree, get your guys' hatred towards it, but I feel like you guys are being a little harsh. I thought Fire Giant was actually a fun fight.
Tyler, you literally try to hit him with the Kamehameha and you miss like every single time, and you're telling me that we're being a little too harsh.
Listen,
Fire Giant.
Listen. He's further away than he seems because the arena is very big, but I found him like I didn't even find him really annoying. I thought he was extra difficult just because his HP was so boosted from the 3 of us trying to fight him, but when I fought him by myself, I actually had a good time. Like I thought it was a fair fight. I think we kind of got a little bit screwed being like having to fight him a bunch of times over and over again to beat him. We got a few runs where he spammed roll, but that didn't happen. I think I beat him in like 4 or 5 tries, something like that, and I didn't ever experience like super spammy rolling. That one time was very funny in multiplayer though when he rolled like 7 or 8 times
in a roll. So like for me, I'm basing it like on my single player experience too, not just multiplayer. I'm not gonna lie and say that multiplayer didn't skew him to 15. He wasn't originally on the list, by the way, until we fought him. So I think that says something. But yeah, he's just like I don't know. It's not great.
All right.
Okay. There will most likely be more discussion on this.
We will have more Fire Giants, so to say. All right. On that note, we can now let's go with the Noble first. Tyler, you have Noble at 15. You are perfectly in place to lead the way. What do we think about Noble?
So Noble I liked. I thought he was one of the few bosses that I was okay with reskins. I don't know what it was because Noble and Apostle are both like they both get reskinned a few times, like probably 4 times ish, maybe somewhere around there throughout the game. And they're both, I mean, I feel like they're both pretty fun fights. Only issue that I have with Noble is that if you don't fight him in an arena with pillars, his role is super annoying to deal with. But I think overall the Noble fight is very fun. And even though he's more of a, I mean, he's a boss, but he's kind of not in like a main area until the duo fight. But I thought he was a good boss. I would probably say the main time you fight him is the one in Volcano Manor. And the setting there was like really good. The arena had pillars, so that was nice. And yeah, overall I just thought every time I fought him, I wasn't upset like when I fought Tree Sentinel every like 2 hours. So
I did not have a good time fighting the Noble. I thought some of his moves were annoyingly excessive, from extremely long and delayed jabs to insane flurries of jabs, and then ultimately to the roll, which I thought the roll was just ridiculous at some times. You just can't dodge that move 80% of the time. Like even if you're trying to roll in like every direction, but some of his moves are predictable enough, like the flop, and he has a big enough hitbox that a lot of your spells won't miss. So, like, dragon spells are really good against him, especially in the duo fight, which we'll talk about soon. But I didn't enjoy this one nearly as much as I enjoyed his counterpart. But that being said, I don't know if, well, we'll get to it. Anyone else want to go for Noble?
I hate Godskin. No, oh, well, you can go ahead, Colby, because I think we're gonna have the same opinion.
Yeah, I was gonna just say I hate that. I was gonna like wait until also Godskin Duo, because that's where I feel like he's most relevant. So I'm gonna hold my opinion until then.
That works.
Yeah, I'll wait until I talk about the duo.
Well, I guess that's a perfect time for us to go into the next section of our tier. So what? Oh, sorry. That is my bad. We have to talk about Estelle. Is there anyone who wouldn't want to talk about Estelle?
I don't even know which one Estelle is, to be honest.
Estelle
with you.
is Scorpion magic
Wow.
person.
Wait, which one is
Yeah.
it?
The Scorpion magic
this-
from Renat.
Oh,
Ronnie's quest,
God.
yeah.
Okay, I know who you're... See, I don't even... Like, I didn't even know who you were talking about until you said the Space Scorpion.
Which one? If you
Volcano Manor one?
I'm 100% talking about the Volcano Manor, the Ronnie one.
Ronnie
Oh,
one.
okay. because I
and
think the
I
other
didn't
one's
fight
better.
that one.
Well, it's
Well, I feel like they're both kind of the same, Tyler. One's
the
just a
most
little
part.
harder.
For the most part,
well, I'd
the
say
second one has like a weird move where they can. There's like a bunch of them though, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty cool, little bit of a Zelda reference in there.
okay. I could see why you'd put that one over the base one then. I mean,
The first one was like super easy too.
yeah,
Wait, what's their big difference? Just like a different
it's a move and
or-
health pool
Mhm.
probably.
Okay.
The other
So
one you fight, I think, is in Consecrated Snowfield, so
So-
it's got like tons
Yeah,
of
it is.
HP compared
yeah,
to the
so
first
that
one.
would be.
I only fought the one in Volcano Manor, so I can't like, I don't know like,
Isn't it
like
not?
what the difference
Is
really
it
is.
in I don't think it's in Volcano Manor.
Well, it's not in Volcano, but it's like on your,
It's
like if you go
underground.
there normally, it's like on the way, because like it's on top of like the giant mountain, I think.
No.
Are
You're
you
talking about the.
Falling Star Beast.
Yeah, you're talking about
Oh,
Falling Star
alright,
Beast.
Rip, never mind.
It's like underneath the Lernia plate or above the Lernia
Yeah, it's
plate.
Ronnie's
I don't
Ronnie's
think I
quest.
don't think I ever fought this boss then.
Oh, it's
You ever
it-
done
it's
Ronnie's
underground.
quest?
No, I did Ronnie's quest, but I
You
seriously can't
100%
remember
did
this
them
boss.
then.
You had to
Yeah,
have fought
you
him.
have to.
It was
He
like
must have
a.
been so boring and like just unremarkable. I just don't remember him
It
at
was like
all.
a skull head with pincers on the front.
Oh
spawns on the
God!
other side of
Okay,
the hands,
now I know
yeah.
who we're talking about.
Mhm.
Fuck that boss. Fuck that boss.
So either way, he's only my 15, but I'd probably say that he had one of the cooler designs. He definitely has the benefits of having the flashiest magic attacks in Gravity and the Nebula shit. And especially with underwhelming intellect pool, he has some of the cooler intellect abilities. In the secondary fight later on, I think it's in the mountaintops, like Tyler said, it gains like the shift move where it like can turn itself into multiple bodies around you. It has a ridiculous grab where it can teleport behind you, which might be one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. But as we'll get to, there are a few more ridiculous grabs than that in this game. I'd rank most of Estelle on its looks. A lot of its attacks are incredibly flashy. Some of the timing is actually like sort of difficult. Obviously, the grab's tough. The meteor strike is really, really difficult to dodge at first, but then leaves him extremely open to attack. And he also teleports everywhere around the map, so as long as he's spamming moves, you don't get annoyed as fuck when he just teleports away. But as we'll get to again, there are many bosses in this game who like to teleport away.
So you said you like the Stell based on his design mostly, right?
Yes, design
And yet you
abilities.
did not like or finish Bloodborne. I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out, Justin, for not finishing Bloodborne.
It's not
when you
that
said you like a Stell.
well, I don't think I didn't like the Bloodborne aesthetic. It's probably one of the only reasons that kept me going. I didn't have fun playing that game.
Ooh, all right, fair enough. All right, you got my respect now.
I don't know what it was that drew me away from it. Like I said, I wanted to replay it, but I played it like 2 years ago, and I just was like, this isn't that fun. I was so used to like a lot of the Dark Souls systems, like having like one weapon at all times, having no armor, not stuff like not having shields and stuff like that bothering me, but like, I mean, and obviously some of the bosses were a little crazy, so changing formats for me was like, whoa, okay, I gotta get this visceral shit down. But back to Elden Ring. Okay, we just went through Estelle briefly. I know we're going to see some more Estelles, so we can touch upon that as we go. May chance we see some more Godskin duos here? I think maybe. Everyone come on over
Why
to
we didn't talk about Godskin Duo yet?
Where I am going to reveal this next ranking, and we may perchance talk about Godskin Duo then. Perhaps. All right, rank 14 for the lads. Quent with Dragon Lord, Tyler with Godskin
what's up,
Apostle, Maddie B with Fire Giant, myself with Godskin Apostle, and Colby with Godskin Duo. With 3 of the Godskins, I think this is a perfect time for us to talk about the Godskin Duos. Who would start?
Can I start?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
All right. I was gonna roast the shit out of Matty B for having Godskin Duo in his list, but then Colby put him higher.
That's crazy.
Dude, so the thing is that I actually think the mechanics of the fight are cool. Like the fact that you have to kill them 3.5 times, but they respawn after some time. It gives you a little bit of time in between to like 1v1. But that first section where you have to deal with both of them is just horrible.
Yeah.
I just couldn't, like, I don't know. I think the idea was cool, but the execution was just not there, and like I don't know.
It was a fuck you fight.
Yeah, it wasn't like, it's one of those fights. There's some fights that are difficult and you beat them and you're like pumped. That was difficult, and I think Quent beat it with me, if I'm not mistaken. I think you joined me.
Yeah, I used Rivers of Blood to like freaking stun log one of them in place while you killed the other one.
That's one of the fights that I just don't care. Like, if I were to beat that after like 50 tries, I wouldn't be happy about it. I'd just be like, fuck you for having me waste my time doing this shit.
When like I was fighting the boss, I remember when Matt and other friend Mason, when we were playing, you know, they like I think helped each other out with it the first time, right? Or at least I think Mason got help with it.
Yeah, he
But
used
like
the Blasphemous Blade.
I stayed like really stubborn. I fought that boss like my own way alone, and I really got like that, like, you know, that high of beating them. Like I got really hyped, and you know I didn't do like any cheese. I was just doing like pure like strength build, and was able to take them on. So that's really like the only thing that had it for me was just the difficulty of the fight. Like, you know, while I was doing it, I absolutely hated it, but like looking back on it, like I kind of enjoyed it because it was like difficult, but not like impossible.
I think for me there's a difference for difficulty that you can appreciate and difficulty that's like not fun. There's like, I feel like there's, kind of going on a tangent, like some Hollow Knight bosses, some Cuphead bosses, games like that where like you fight them like 30 times in a row and you finally beat them and you get satisfaction. There's even bosses here that we'll probably talk about later that have that same characteristic. But I feel like when you're fighting Godskin Duo, you almost have to get like lucky that their movesets don't coincide to like fuck you over. So I feel like that's more relying on like RNG factor than like actually. I mean, obviously there's tons of skill involved in beating it, but like the fact that that can happen is just a little annoying in my opinion, and I don't think it's good game design.
I don't think their design's good at all. I like literally have them up here just purely off of like my experience with them. It's like pretty much what pushed them up to where they are.
My experience is similar to Colby's because like I also did strength, but like for me, the like every single god skin boss, like not just do like all of them, I had a problem with because like so when you go into the battlefield, like when you like fight them, you either like get in their face and like deal all their HP and they just die without them doing very much, or they hit you, you back up, you heal. They throw fireballs over and over, and I'm just like, can you let me heal, please?
And bro, those pillars are your best friend.
Yeah, the pillars are kind of the saving grace of that fight.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No pillars, that would have been
No, I get it. I feel like satisfaction factor, if that was like a big thing for you, because I know there's a lot of bosses that I'm going to talk about that the satisfaction factor played a big part in beating them.
It's literally all satisfaction for me, and Godskin did not do anything for me.
Yeah. I do think, I guess defending my own list, I do think I liked Apostle better than Knowable. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but it is easier. I thought his phase 2 at first like made me laugh because he's just like flinging his body all around, but I thought it was a fun fight to do, like 1v1. A lot of my favorite fights in these type of games is like 1v1 fights with like people that are of the same size as you. I feel like it kind of makes it. I mean, obviously there's some good dragon fights, some good like other fights, but for the most part, a lot of the fights that I like are when it's like basically just a duel. And even though Apostle's like pretty tall, I feel like he's still kind of like almost the same size as you, so it feels like a duel.
Smaller in comparison to like other bosses.
So
yeah, for sure.
I think it's funny.
So
You finish.
No, you can go.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think it's sort of funny that you say you like the duels. I actually think it's sort of the worst this game has to offer. Specifically, like PvP / like bosses that are humans. Like the Gideon fight. Like the Gideon fight's a joke if you have any weapon that can stagger over and over again. And
that's. I should have worded it better because I don't like the PvP fights either. I'm thinking more of like a lot of the main bosses that are like normal sized fights.
Yeah,
I
like
guess.
the Margit types, the deadly humans. That's what I would call. But I wouldn't say that a lot of these bosses are near our sizes. Most of them that are pretty good, I'd say, are a lot larger.
Yes, but they. I don't know a good way to like explain it, but I'd say like
a little bit
humanoid.
Okay. Well, I guess we don't need to give good examples for now because we'll definitely have to eventually. But we can keep it standing that we'll have to better define some of our standings there. Okay. Does anyone else have anything on Apostle they want to say?
No, I'd like to hear Quince.
Oh, okay, go for it.
I need to know. Like,
The Dragon Lord.
Oh yeah.
Sup,
This
dude?
boss. No, this boss sucks.
You really don't like Dragon Lord?
I hate Placidusex. I think he's fucking terrible.
All right, you're gonna have to back that up.
So okay, here we go. You ready?
Wait 1 sec, Quinn.
ahead,
Before you do this, I'm more on your side.
Oh, let's go.
All right,
We got the
2v3.
homies in the back.
All right, All right, who wants to start on team 2?
I'll start because obviously I put him in 14. So here's my problem with Dragon Lord. Okay, so like when you start the fight, he's probably got one of the coolest arenas. I'm not gonna lie, his arena's pretty fucking cool. He looks cool, but he literally just sits there the entire time, and you just get to wail on him for free. The only thing he does is like a lightning AoE, I think, for like the first phase. And then in the second phase, he's completely different. He starts teleporting everywhere. He's got this fucking crazy laser beam double breath attack that's just ridiculous. I mean, I understand that, like, if you stand back far enough, it can't hit you. So that's, like, fine. But, like, and here's the other thing. Like, this is actually the biggest reason I put him in 14, because this is a personal experience. So when I fought him the first time, when I got him to his second phase, his AI glitched, and he just stood still for the rest of the fight, and I just killed him. I managed to experience him in other playthroughs, thankfully. One with Justin, which was a lot of fun. However, the same issues kind of apply where he just sits there and you can just stagger him in multiplayer. So that's like a big issue. I just think he's lame. I don't know. I don't really like the design that they have going for him at all.
All right, two things. First, is there a flaw with the transition between attack patterns being so different? Is that like an inherent
because
flaw?
because he starts out standing still, and then you have to adapt to him actually starting to move around and being fast. It's not like Fire Giant, because like even though Fire Giant gets like different moves, he still acts the exact same. As an example, Dragon Lord completely changes how he fights right in the middle of the fight, so you have to adapt to different things that he's doing rather than like having a good idea of what he's gonna do from start to finish.
So
like,
Godfrey's the shit
So
boss.
you see that as a negative.
Wait,
Yeah,
hold on, let me
I
go. Godfrey's a shitty
Huh.
boss then, because he's completely different phase 2.
Why? No, he's not.
I mean,
Is
he
he-
changes, but
He
he's not
changes a
that
little bit, but
different.
he's not that different.
He's
That's
still
a,
Okay.
that's a really bad argument.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
He's like
it's-
entirely.
I'm on their team, and that was a bad argument.
well, I think of them as very different. He uses a weapon in the first fight and stomps,
Yeah, but
and
he's
then
still
in the
up in your
second
face
fight,
in
he's
both phases.
consistently command grabbing and like moving at
He
a
doesn't
much
command grab
faster
you in
pace.
phase 1. He does more AoEs in phase 1 than phase 2. In phase 2, he's more up in your face.
Yeah,
but he still
you're
has
helping
AoEs.
my point. There's a lot of differences in the phases
No,
of
I'm not, because
Godfrey.
he's consistent.
What do you?
Phase one-
I'm arguing they
Phase
have a
one,
lot of
have, like, a weapon,
differences.
and like phase 2 is Saturday Night SmackDown.
I think aesthetically, Dragon Lord is really cool.
Oh yeah, aesthetically he's great.
Like one of the best. But
Wait, but why is it
I
bad
think he
that
had a lot of
different
moves that were-
different patterns is bad? Why is that? Why is having different move patterns between phases bad?
I just told
Yeah,
you why,
I think-
because he significantly changes how he fights. So he like starts by
Why
standing
is
still and doing
change
AoEs.
bad?
I think that's a positive.
Why is
I don't know,
having
I
the
just-
player have to
That makes
adapt?
you
I think it's-
adapt
I just
mid-fight.
think it's too drastic of a change. That's all.
How do
Yeah.
you
Hot take.
define this measurement? I guess that's it.
What do you mean?
Like, is it
I just
like?
explained the measurement. He starts standing still, and then he starts teleporting everywhere in the second phase.
All right, but okay. Sure.
I mean, you don't have to agree with me, and like honestly, it's such like I don't even like mind that you guys completely and utterly disagree with me on Dragon Lord. This is just my opinion and my experience of him.
The-
Yeah, that's
like,
fine.
that's fine. You don't need to put a
but,
but
big
like
wall.
I can understand, but I can understand what you're saying. But like, oh, if he does something different in the second phase, that's better. It's more engaging.
You're good. We're not attacking
But
your
like,
opinion.
I don't know.
well,
I just didn't
it-
like
it's
the way
kinda-
Dragon Lord did it.
It's kind of like fuck, why can't I remember his name now? The Beast Clergyman, kind of like that.
Oh, that
know what I
was,
mean?
that's a better example. Yeah.
Malekith?
So is Malekith bad
That's-
because
Yeah,
of the
Beast
dramatic
Clergyman
dramatic
is a way
differences?
better example.
Yeah, there you go. All right, now what? So is Malekith a bad fight?
No,
I guess we'll see.
Well, But you're saying well,
don't
we've
think-
got
we-
contradictions.
Well, I'm trying to tell you that it's just like it doesn't matter if it's a contradiction because it all depends on my enjoyment. And if I didn't enjoy the fight, then I just didn't enjoy it. That's all it boils down
But that's
to.
subjective. The initial
That's
take
fine.
was objective.
Oh yeah, of course it's subjective.
But the initial take's subjective that change is bad.
No, I just said well, yeah, object like for fucking the dragon, it is.
But okay.
Okay.
All right.
Basically, what it boils down
that's
to is
that.
that like I had a bad objective take at the start and then turned into a subjective take, so I'm trying to fix it.
Okay.
So I agree with Quent to an extent, not the same way that he's trying to say it though. Like I thought, like aesthetically, his moveset is super cool. Like every move that he throws out, I'm like, holy shit, this is super cool. But I didn't have fun in his second phase. I thought his second phase was annoying and not fun to deal with. Not that he was. I mean, he was hard, but he wasn't like insanely difficult. I just didn't enjoy the second phase of his fight, I would say.
I find him fun because he's like really big. He's kind of easy to hit. He has a lot of blind spots. It's just like I don't know.
Yeah,
It just
the
wasn't very satisfying
First
for me.
phase, I did feel like I was just standing behind him or
Yeah,
underneath
exactly.
him, just hitting
That's
him
the
until he
whole
gets
thing.
halfway down. That too.
Exactly. That's
So-
literally the biggest problem I have with him because then he like changes where like he actually starts moving around. It's a lot harder to hit him.
Yeah,
I'm just like, damn.
I understand your guys' take on the first phase, but I just don't get it on the second phase, which is fine.
I think that. So if you're gonna try to compare him to Malekith, I think Malekith's moveset was much more enjoyable. In like, I don't dislike change, like, and I don't think that's what Quent's saying either. I just think
Yeah, no, it was a really bad take because I'm also doing this on the spot without a script, so it's
Yeah.
gonna be really botched.
the like Beast Clergyman to Malekith was a super cool transition. Dragon Lord is still Dragon Lord in the second phase. I just don't like. I thought Malekith's second moveset was more enjoyable to deal with, whereas like the teleportation, although is cool, it was just annoying. Like I didn't enjoy fighting that way, and like he'd whip out the claw and he'd either swipe at you, do an AOE, and all that shit. Like I didn't enjoy it as much.
Yeah, plus if you lock your camera on him, it gets rid of your camera lock when he teleports, and it's hard to see where he's coming from. Like there is like a tell, like there's a giant storm cloud that like shows where he's gonna like pop up, but it's still not very easy.
Yeah. Aesthetically, probably top boss in the game.
Oh yeah,
but-
he's fucking great, like aesthetically, and his arena's fucking sick. But like I just didn't enjoy the fight. Like for such like a grandiose looking boss, he doesn't really do a lot that like measures up to how epic he looks.
So his first phase moveset is really bland. The fight boils down to an AoE fest, and he's kind of like RNG. Where you get it's basically an RNG roll whether you get hit, and it's easier, especially with how the weapons work late game to how much damage you can do. To quickly get him into phase one to make quickly get him into phase two to make phase one look pitiful. So I can definitely see the complaints there. I think phase two gave me like vibes of like a Legend of Zelda boss where there was certain tells that required like actual like arena awareness that I actually appreciated that I don't think they do enough of in the game. They should do more environmental things to affect the bosses. I think that was a neat touch. I think the change in the teleportation and the dramatic like shift creates a level of adaptation that is good for the fight, because instead of worrying about pressing R1 as fast as you can, you have to use your roll and start trying to I believe there are jump windows because he has different ways to swoop in on you. There's different attacks, but I believe there's a double swipe that's pretty annoying. So some of the move patterns are tough, but I think especially being one of the last bosses in the game, it's a pretty good challenge. I think the flaws that I have with it is that the dragon enemies as a whole are very redundant. And a lot of the lightning attacks are incredibly ununique, and you see all of the same dragons using the same lightning shit, and it's like couldn't you like just change the color at least or something like that? But and then the location of finding it's actually ridiculous. I can't believe they did something like that. I like a really, really, really niche part of me goes, oh, dude, that's so cool. Like, if I, like, worked really hard and searching every corner, I'd find that. That's sick. but in reality, I'm like, fuck me, I had to Google another thing in this game to figure out where to go next. But I don't mind the lower ranking for Dragon Lord because
So
of
Justin,
the
when
flaws
you and
that
I fought
mentioned.
him, we literally stun locked him in place with your magic.
Well, phase 1, yeah, I'm
No, and
conceding.
phase 2. Remember, I staggered him to use your magic, and we just killed
Well,
him. We didn't even
either
get the second
way-
phase; he just died.
Well, either way, I have vivid memory of consistently getting hit by the flying move, and then eventually adapting like the very last few times, and like actually watching the air around me and being like, oh shit, I'm actually dodging it, and then being able to punish it properly. So I also think that weapons make it really imbalanced because using the Blasphemous Blade makes it a little piss easy. So if I had played it a little bit more fairly, I probably wouldn't be saying anything regarding how easy it was within stagger rates and the stuff that breaks the Elden Ring bosses. But I can see why stuff like that can ruin the overall experience. That being said, subjectively, this boss was fun as fuck. Like, as someone doing multiplayer, this was really fun. First phase is really easy. It's just a bunch of damage windows. And then the second phase, one of your teammates is mostly getting attacked for the move. So it's sort of, like, kind of, like, cinematic, watching the dragon fucking swoop in and stuff like that. And then obviously the second phase as a whole is just more difficult. So I thought that was a good touch to one of the final bosses in the game. All right, Colby, Matty B, any last words on Dragon Lord?
No, I'm gonna hold my statements on
Sounds
Dragon Lord.
good. We will see some more.
I'll wait too.
Yeah, we'll see some more Dragon Lords in the future. We got a Fire Giant and the rest of the God skins. Perfect. We are going on to rank 13. Everyone hop on over to the Excel. Oh, fuck.
Alright, hopefully I don't have any more controversial placements.
Oh, this one might be a little controversial.
This is gonna take a while.
All right, we have
we'll see.
Quent with Rykard, Tyler with Electo Ringleader, Maddie B with Radagon, Justin with Crucible Knights, and Colby with Estelle.
Oh, wow.
Dude, you
What
had
do we-
Crucible. I was so close to including them, but I was like, I don't know how I feel. Like,
We're going to war on this one.
I'll back you up with that one.
That was one of the
Where
most
do we
fun
even
fights
start?
in the
Wow,
game.
this is
This is gonna
crazy.
be
That was one
wild.
of, all right, so
Yeah.
I'll here we go. I'll 1.5 v3 or that would 1.5 v3.
No, I'm
1.5.
fully backing you.
Okay,
I'm fully
2v3,
backing you,
let's
don't
go. So Crucible Dice is probably one of the most fun fights I've ever had.
What?
Yeah, in the entire game. Because every single fight I had versus him was multiplayer. So me and Tyler diffused the aggro into a 2v2 into 1v1s. And I think I could reenact the Sword Crucible Knights movement pitch perfect.
Me
I
too.
think yeah, and Lance Guy, but maybe I'd forget a few on Lance Guy, but it was one of the most fun War of Attritions ever because and I'm kidding you not, we probably went through like 40 remedies, and then
at least.
I think we fought him again the next day and went through another like 20, so we fought this guy
Yeah.
like over 50 times. And by God, it was also the most frustrating fight in the game. But when Tyler mentioned that Cuphead and fucking Hollow Knight satisfaction, beating the Crucible Knights was the most satisfying thing I did in the entire game.
Agreed.
It was the most
100%.
satisfying thing I did the entire game, and it's not close. I can't rank it higher because the Crucible Knights, like, fundamentally are stupid as shit. I think that the Knight guy actually has a few decent options besides having the fuck off shield. His tail slaps are actually like decent
That's
dodge.
his worst move.
I actually think it's like a decent like skill check. He has a follow-up move that like 90% of the time requires you to roll in, and once you learn that, you could really feel accomplished by dodging his double tails. However, it's a very big AoE and can fucking hit you if you roll from like any direction leftish, any direction rightish. So I could get why that would be bullshit. And he also has a stomp into a spike, and that is really annoying because you can really fuck up the roll timing. But like I said, there's a few roll ins on sword guy that can really expose him. Sword and shield guy. Lance guy is a lot easier, and this is how we would deal with the Crucible Knights more often than not. Would be Tyler would fight the Lance guy because he didn't have a shield, and all of his hits would hit for full damage, where I would have to make perfect timing so fighting the shield guy. And once he would kill him, we'd gang up on the shield knight, and even then the fight was still extremely difficult throughout the entire way because they both had phase 2s, and even when we beat the first Lance guy and dealt with his sort of bad phase 2, his is much easier to dodge compared to the Lance one. But compared to the sword one, he just does like a lunging attack from the skies, and he once his phase is down, you worry about shield guy, but even then shield guy still posed a threat. So the difficulty spike was huge, especially with the HP pool benefited from the multiplayer, but by god, that was one of the most fun times I had in Elden Ring. Like, you guys can pick apart the knights, but
what? Well, I was gonna say something to support your case because I think Crucible Knights is the funnest boss to parry. But like actually fighting him mano a mano sucks. But parrying him, very fun.
I have seen a little. I've tried parrying him. I then shifted to mage, but I think I parried him a couple times at like a Evergaol, and that was a decently fun fight. But yeah, them together in a multiplayer session, great. Solo player, I think they stagger a little bit, but that's probably pretty cancer. It's probably not fun.
Their biggest issue is that they just like they turtle behind their shield a lot, so you can't really get that many swings in until like after they do something that you can. But like they're not bad at all.
Lance guy's
like,
not bad at all. I don't think Lance.
Yeah, he's fine.
Bad.
No,
he's fine. Bad. Like he has that one move where he like jumps up and like slams and he like sits there for like 3 seconds. That's like a really good window. So yeah, I mean Crucible Knights is good. I actually don't have anything against Crucible Knight. I just think he's like not as interesting. But like he's fun in like his own way. So like yeah, that's like perfectly fine with me.
Any other gripes?
I'm
be honest, not really.
Yeah, I'm
you guys don't.
Guys, I forgot about this boss fight. I don't remember having much trouble with it. Like I think I did in like a handful of tries, but like I can't really speak for it. You know, it's so long ago, and like I said before, I was like looking it up as soon as you guys, revealed it. I was like,
that's funny.
Ooh.
That's funny. I think it's just in some catacombs or like a hero.
Yeah.
He's also in Capital of Lendell and a couple other spots.
But I don't know if there's a double other than this one. That
there's only one
it's
double.
the only
I think.
one. Yeah.
There's one at Dawn's Fortress there after the
festival
before.
It's a Crucible Knight and
but it's just a
Misbegotten.
Knight, and Misbegotten, yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't.
And
like
that one they stagger. Misbegotten or Crucible Knight doesn't come until like halfway through fighting.
Yeah, that one's actually not bad.
True.
That's better for that. Imagine fighting them both at the same time. Good lord.
Oh, that'd be fun.
All right, we can then go with Maddie B with our first Radagon. At 13, what do we think about Radagon?
Well, Radagon. So, I think it comes down to the build I was doing. So right now, in my strength build, I haven't hit him yet, which will probably be more of a pain in the ass. Definitely be more of a pain in the ass. Yeah. But I was doing a faith build at the time with Blasphemous Blade, and I like fucking hit him with the special on it. But it was kind of fucking easy. But like fuck his projectiles that he throws, his fucking slow swings are aids.
Oh my god, yeah.
I
I
mean,
hate this guy.
the arena was like mediocre, I think. And I don't know. It's just I thought he was an okay boss.
I I kind of liked Radagon.
I love Radagon.
I thought that he was really cool. Um, I thought his look, his appearance was really good. I thought the boss arena was really cool for a final boss. It's just kind of it's simple, but it's just like dark and this big open area. Um,
It feels conclusive, the final arena, I feel.
yeah, for
Because
sure.
it's like it's kind of cool how it like, so like when you go in there, it's like this like kind of depressing dark. It's kind of like you kind of expect like something a bit more grand, and it's kind of like not. I don't know. I kind of like that about it. Kind of like how decrepit it is, because it's kind of like the nature of the world. I guess I don't know. It was kind of cool. I thought.
Um, the other thing that I'm thinking, and obviously you don't have to answer, but Radagon versus Elden Beast. If you have Radagon here, I presume Elden Beast is not making an appearance.
I'm
Maybe, I
assuming
don't know.
we all separate Radagon and Elden Beast, right?
Yes, I made sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Well, don't
yeah.
answer that, but I'm just.
Yeah, that
That's
gives
fair.
light
I'd
that
agree-
either Radagon is
I
worse
hope.
than Elden Beast or
Wow. Well, that'll be a fun discussion. But I do get what you're playing, Tyler Matty B. That's a sus line you're drawing.
He was just kind of underwhelming for me.
No, not so much that you have Radagon at 13, but the implications therein. Because
The Elden Beast is higher potentially.
that is the
That
first.
could be a case too. Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting though, because like, if like someone holds Elden Beast in high regard, I'm really interested to see what they think about it.
I do think some of Radagon's moves were like super weird for the dodge timing.
triple AOE.
Yeah, there was so many times. There was like a handful of moves that he threw out that I tried so many different dodge timings and just kept getting hit by it that I just said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna tank these specific moves and heal."
Like the jumping slam.
Yeah, because some of them have like a hitbox when he comes down, but then he does like a wave of blight or whatever.
Yeah,
That
that's what I was about to say.
so it's very weird.
You have to like dodge the initial attack, and then you're like, all right, well, I got out of that one, and then the attack like explodes, and you're like, oh, well,
Yep.
you know, fuck me, I guess.
I do
Basically,
think,
like a roll backwards trap. Like if
Yeah.
you roll backwards, you're just fucked. It's like awful.
exactly.
I
I do think that's like one of the most badass attacks is when he does like the 3 beams of light and then he like jumps up and throws like a lightning spear. That is like super cool to look at.
I
but-
also think he's sort of underwhelming in regards that he's not actually the final boss, but he's sort of definitely presented as it. Like, if you just kept dying at Radagon, you totally wouldn't realize that there's another boss after it, which sort of, like, hinders it. I think there should have been separation between the two, especially since how different they are, and it's not like
I
a
kind of
Radagon
really
Part
not.
2. What'd you say,
See, I actually think that helps Radagon's case. The fact that he's attached to a boss that's worse than him. So it highlights how good he is.
That is that is a good point. But I don't know. I think the way they place him feels very rushed. So I don't know. I think he was one of the more important bearers too, because you actually hear a lot about Radagon throughout the playthrough. I think overall the Elden Ring, the lords don't get enough lore pushed into our faces about themselves overall. I think it's way too difficult to figure out all of their like historical implications, which is sort of like a big part to what makes Dark Souls games great. So stuff that could have been implemented better, especially for Radagon, could probably keep them at lower rankings overall in these lists. Any last Radagon thoughts, or shall we keep them for more Radagon later?
definitely keeping him. Would be a good
All
one.
Yeah, I'm gonna
let's
hold
go.
the rest of my opinions.
So we can skip on Rykard because we'll definitely see him later. We have the second spiciest take of the 13th ranking list. I can't believe nobody's made a call out. We started this recording, I jokingly went to say to Tyler, imagine if Tyler put a Black Knife Assassin, caught myself
you did.
midway and said,
At least
Quent,
it wasn't number
what
10.
if Quent put a Black Knife
Oh,
Assassin on
man.
his list? However, Tyler said that he could defend this well enough. What do you
Well,
think?
this man doesn't even have a main boss on his list yet.
No, you're right. You're right. I have some. So I also have some honorable mentions, but I guess we're waiting till later. But some of the main bosses are below this. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I think this was just like one of the most fluent fights in the game. I feel like I can't. So I think the fact that okay, let me just start a whole spiel. I feel like Black Knife Assassin, the idea of it is super cool. It's like a sneaky guy, can like glide all over the place, and he goes specifically for backstabs. Getting backstabbed is annoying as hell. I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that most Black Knife Assassin fights were not fun. Especially the invisible one was really annoying to deal with. But I do think that made this boss all the more fun because a lot of the Evergal fights were just like stupid easy. You walk in, you're like, oh, it's an Evergal, I'll just kill him in first try. This guy was not the case. I thought that this guy was super difficult. I don't know if it was me being underleveled or it was just this late game area, so he was a difficult fight. And I feel like this boss has enough different from the Black Knife Assassin where he shoots the beams and it kind of has a Malekith effect where it eats your health over time. This was one of my favorite bosses to learn the moveset of. And I had a lot of fun fighting this guy. I'm trying to think of your point, Justin, about Black Knife Assassins. Do you remember what you said that other time we were talking about it? Something about not knowing, something about backstabbing, but I forget what it was.
Oh, well, so it doesn't apply. I don't think it applies to Electro Ringleader because he's not invisible,
Yeah, it
right?
doesn't apply to him. Yeah.
Because he's not what?
He's not invisible, right? No.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So
Right?
it's an Evergal, so you can just walk up to that like little dark spot, and he just like gets a second to kind of appear.
So basically, he's
Wait,
like he has
okay.
like he
He-
doesn't.
but
ever
he's a
go
regular-
invisible,
wait.
He has like a knife.
Yeah, he never goes invisible is his thing, right?
Yeah, because it's an Evergal fight. He never goes invisible.
Okay,
he fights you,
yeah,
like,
so-
one-on-one.
That is fine because when you kick it to the extreme of invisible person in a tiny-ish arena, especially in the catacombs Black Knife fights, you will walk into the arena, go, where's the boss? And then all of a sudden you're getting backstabbed.
Yeah.
So especially, I mean, I guess it's a funny gag the first time you go into the room, but I don't know if Elden Ring has been going for funny gags in its boss fights.
No, they definitely do.
Okay,
Yeah, they do.
maybe
Not
they do
noble.
sometimes, but all right, yeah, you're right. The noble exists, but the
I have a few more points. I do think that a lot of the reskin fights are more of a fuck off kind of thing, like the Erd Tree avatars, the putrid ones that just do Scarlet Rot but have the same attacks, or the one that just duplicates, stuff like that. But I think that this one, being similar enough but having enough variation, I feel like it was a perfect mix for a Black Knife Assassin. If this was the only Black Knife Assassin in the game, it would be like phenomenal. But I feel like it's hard to argue because I don't like Black Knife Assassin fights.
No,
I'm not gonna
I
lie.
think it's justifiable because he doesn't have the stupid mechanic tied to him specifically. So I think it's commendable that you actually like are being honest about why he's good. versus like I like him, but the other variations of him suck, so I'm not putting him on the list. Like that wouldn't make any sense. So I like your opinion a lot, and I agree that I think this one specifically is actually fun because he doesn't have any like stupid gimmick tied to him, so it's like it's good.
Yeah. I the first time I walked into this Evergal, I got shafted, and I just was like sitting there like, what just happened? But then I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna beat this guy, and I fought him for like 2 hours or something, and finally beat him. And this one had satisfaction factor, in my opinion, over like someone like Godskin Duo. Obviously, it's different, but yeah, I really like this boss. I couldn't put it higher than 13. I thought he was more fun than some of the bosses above him, but I feel like just how minimalistic and optional he was, it's hard to be like, yeah, he's ahead of some of the story bosses that have cutscenes or whatnot, you know what I mean? But I do think he deserved a mention.
We are revealing rank 12, and we have Quent with Renala, Tyler with Commander Neil, Maddie B with Elden Beast, me with Fire Giant, and Colby with Elden Beast. Double Elden Beast here. I think this opens the door to talk about the official final boss
I'll
of
go
the game.
first.
Yeah,
Yeah, you should
I'm
go
gonna-
first, Maddie B.
Hey,
You probably
Tyler, shut the
should.
fuck up. So, let me get this out of the way. The only reason I have Elden Beast over Radagon is because he feels more like a final boss. I mean, technically he is the final boss and Radagon isn't, but you know what I mean. It's a shared fight. He looks cooler. I think his moveset's cooler. Like, his moveset's annoying as fuck, and the fact that he swims away is also fucking awful. But I thought all of his moves looked really cool. He looked really cool. The boss stage was really cool. I just thought it was like a good final fight. Besides the part that he fucking swims away so often.
Yeah, that's really.
That's like the one knock on the fight that I absolutely hated. Obviously, it being a double fight was also pretty annoying. But like all together, I thought he, like looks wise, moveset wise, he was pretty good.
Yeah. I guess to add on that for me, a lot of the same things as Matt. Like the theming of it was like really cool. He did feel like way more final than Radagon to me. The one thing with me though, it's like, so this kind of gives, I guess, some sight into like my opinions on Radagon. I struggled with him really badly with Radagon. I think I fought the Elden Beast twice and beat him on my second time. Like, I had no problems with the Elden Beast, but I think his attacks were like really cool. They were like easy to dodge, but like they felt good to dodge. Like, I don't know, just the fight felt good. Just like, also like just the hype of like, you know, like this is it. Like after this, you know, like the game's done. Like well, not really, because there's still so much to do, but like this is like the end. This is the final boss of the game. Like it was just it felt good as like a final boss to me, and like just the fact that I didn't really struggle with it definitely made me feel pretty good about it.
I had the opposite of Colby. Like I said before, it was the Faith build, using the Blasphemous Blade. I was doing stupid damage with the special ability there. Radagon was super fucking easy for me. I like 4 or 5 hit him. Like I beat him like first try every time. It was the Elden Beast that was really fucking annoying for me and hard, as he constantly swam away. He was hard to hit with that ability. So, like he was harder than Radagon for me. So yeah.
I can respect that.
So,
So, I don't know, Justin, you can go.
alright. Well, I mean, how big of a take are you going? Because mine's pretty big.
I was gonna go pretty big as well.
Okay, well, I guess I'll lay out the foundations.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask this, Colby. What other Dark Souls or FromSoft games have you played?
So I've played Dark Souls 1 and 3. I did not finish 2. I started 2, but I just kind of stopped. I want to go back and finish it, and I want to start Bloodborne, but never. I just haven't had the motivation to buy it yet.
Did you beat 1 and 3 or 3?
I did, and are you asking if I liked their final bosses more?
Well, I could ask that, but more importantly, I find that curious because I think that Elden Beast is the worst final boss in all of the FromSoft games.
I
Hard
agree.
agree.
I agree. Elden Beast is very easily the worst, but like, I don't know. Just like, cause like I went in, of course you go into the Elden Beast fight for me. Like I knew that was the end. Like I barely looked up anything about the game, but like, I was playing with like Matt and Mason like in party all the time, and like, spoilers get around. Like I knew that was the final boss, and just I feel like it's just the final boss factor is kind of what got me. Is like, yeah, he's garbage in comparison to like any other From Software final boss, but at the same time, it's just the fact that he is the final boss, which kind of like boosts him up to me.
Okay.
Like, I'm kind of a sucker for that.
That's
And it's also a
hold
spectacle.
on.
It's
Let me go really quick. That's fascinating for me because I have the literal exact opposite take for the same context. I think it's pitiful that he's the final boss when not only have they far exceeded like the mantra, the lore aspects, the move sets, the look, the style of what an impressive final boss can be with Gwyn, and fucking the Bloodborne one was just insane. I didn't beat it, but I've watched many of it. But it's really upsetting that they have this big gelatinous blob with a sword that just runs away from me from the entire fight. And worse, they like it's supposed to be this very climactic moment where you're taking down this massively historical importance to this world, and I just remember not knowing what the fuck was going on with it. Like I get that it was like some sort of like resemblance of the tree on the inside, but I couldn't even tell what was going on. Not with
I had no clue what that thing was.
which is so annoying because you look at like Gwyn in DS1 and it's like he's the keeper of the flame. He had a massive importance, and he sought out a destiny that ended up being his undoing, and he shriveled and rotted away.
Soul of Cinder's kind of a cop out though, because he's like the most fan service boss in the series.
That's fine.
Like, yeah, I know. I was just saying that like Elden, like not Elden Beast, like Soul of Cinder makes no sense. Like either, like thematically.
That's fine.
Like,
well, so at least they
well,
tried.
I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Well,
I guess it makes sense because it's like
so even
the culmination of like all the Dark Souls players, I guess. But like there's no subtext for him to be there. He's just kind of there. Like there's no history.
Without getting into a big discussion on Gwyn, I don't think it's even relevant whether it makes sense. I think DS1 did a far better job at just describing what the fuck I'm fighting and what this whole thing is leading up to, rather than my friend told me what the name is and I'm kind of really excited to fight it because it's got the title in it. Not that that's entirely Colby's thing. It was a gross simplification, but
I do only have him at 12.
Oh, so Justin,
no, that's fine.
like
but I'm gonna keep it real with you. I don't know if.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I have him higher. So
Justin, I feel like your gripe with the Elden Beast can also be described towards like every fucking boss in this game because they're not explained at all. It's
Yeah.
not just him.
Do you think it's
Really
more
wanted-
important
Like,
that the final
Horal
boss?
Lou was barely explained.
Okay.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, he did have some like they did like foreshadow him like at the like when you first go to Lindo because you fight his like spirit form or whatever,
Yeah.
and then he just shows up. I'm like, oh, what are you doing here?
so.
Yeah, like I feel like that's with every fucking
So,
boss in this game.
I'd
The only
say
boss I think they don't do that with is Godric. Like actually,
So
Godric actually has a little bit of foreshadowing that's
I-
actually better. than
I feel like
just showing
Radon
up.
also does. With that
I'd
little
say
cutscene in the
Mhm.
beginning.
I think that reeks with the entire game. What the fuck is the Elden Ring? What does it mean
Yes,
to become
yeah,
an
who
Elden
knows?
Lord? I think the whole
Keep in mind that
game-
George R. R. Martin helped, so that didn't help at all.
Well,
I'm just kidding,
apparently
by the
he
way.
did some like super early world
I
building
think
shit.
he did. So like, I think the idea was like he made a world, and then Miyazaki's like, okay, let's fuck it up now.
Whatever it was,
I think.
whatever it was. So I think that this harkens back to the point that I made with Colby that, like, the fact that is the opposite effect of the final boss has for me. The fact that this final boss has fucking nothing surrounding it within regards to it, like, destroys it more than a Horror Lou because he's not the final boss. Because the Elden Beast is the final boss, and I don't know what the fuck, why it's here and stuff like that, I think that has a harsher effect than Godfrey. And then I'd also say people like the lords actually have a better thing. Like I can immediately think a better way of like going about like learning it through the world. Like you have Gideon who has like the long texts for all the lords that you fight. And then there's a few side quest characters and events that can sort of hint at what's going on. Like you said, the Godfrey fight. But Elden Beast doesn't have much of that at all. And he's the final boss, so I think those both coincide to go, yeah, come on, guys, what were we doing? What were we thinking here? However...
I think in scale, Elden Beast works as the final boss.
I part of me also like, I feel like I kind of like the fact that you don't know anything about this guy. Like you
Yeah,
go
it's a
to fight and
surprise.
You're like, what the fuck is this thing? But like, I don't know. I kind of like the mystery of it. Like it kind of makes me want to like figure out what it is supposed to be. Like 'cause
Yeah, I
it's
can
just
get behind that
the
a lot.
fact that it's like very unexpected, because like you're expecting like, oh, like Radagon to be the final boss, or like you expected like Godfrey to be the final boss, but then instead you get this big blob thing that's like, it's like this isn't what I signed up for. Like, who are you? But like, I don't know. I feel like there's definitely like a part of that that's kind of interesting to me as to like
Yeah.
why he is there.
So like with Radagon, it's like so the game kind of hints at the Golden Order and Radagon throughout the whole game, and you get to him and you kill him. It's like, okay, well that's done. And then this fucking monster comes out of it. It's like, oh, okay, so this is what we're doing now. I thought it was a really cool subversion because like you expect Radagon to be like the final boss, but it's not, and it's like, oh shit, there's this fucking Cthulhu looking motherfucker now.
You expect
Okay,
Radagon
Ryan
to like
Johnson.
get back up. You expect Radagon to like get back up and like transform into like some, you know, magnificent second phase, but instead you get this like random boogie monster.
Yeah, it's really good. I like it a lot. Like how they set it up, I think is good.
Do you think it's weird that the tree spirit of the god Lord Rings has a sword?
Well, isn't the sword
It's a
Radagon
sacred
though?
sword.
Because like the sword kind of looks like it's like made out of human flesh. I don't know if that's true. It's just what it
Oh,
looked like to me.
I didn't put that together.
Yeah, because I think he grabs Radagon's body and he like transforms into a sword. I thought it was like kind of sick, but I don't know how accurate that is. That's just an assumption.
Mhm.
Which implies my next point. Is it weird that most bosses in this game have a sword?
No, I mean,
Fire
fucking.
giant doesn't. He's got like a plate.
True.
He does have a plate.
Renala doesn't.
Bernal uses a
does
staff,
spells. Fuck, does spells.
I mean,
and Godfrey uses an axe.
yeah.
True.
There we go.
Yeah, Justin, fuck you.
Yeah. You got me. Okay. Another unique take first on the list. A very not named character. We have Commander Nail. I don't know how we're gonna pronounce it, but whatever.
Neil.
It
I
is
don't fucking
Summoner Guy
Who
in
knows?
Castle Soul. Tyler, you got a lot of explaining to do there. Fight's a little tough.
I know this guy. I hate this
know.
guy.
I don't like this guy either.
The crowd does not appreciate Summoner Man.
So I agree. The summons that he has are a little annoying, but I feel like he backs off enough while you deal with the summons to a point where you can deal with them handily. And I feel like I have him this low because of that reason. I think once you get by them, he's a fun fight just when you're 1v1ing him. I think he has some really cool frost/wind attacks, whatever you want to call them. The fact that he attacks you with his prosthetic is pretty sick. And I feel like, especially just after you deal with the summons, I feel like he's up there with some of the best. I had a really fun time.
His prosthetic attack does like 10 million. It's so stupid.
Right.
I don't know. I had a lot of fun with him. I thought he was a really fun, fluent fight. Yeah. I mean, you guys can tear it apart, but
I'm gonna tear it apart
don't
because
think-
he starts with
think
he can-
two fucking allies, and I'm like, what the fuck?
He can-
1v3, that's not fair.
It's not even that. It's just I felt like his summons were harder than he was. I
his
thought he was
summons
very
were
easy.
boss fights in their own.
Yeah, they're fucking beefy.
All right,
They are fucking
like,
units.
One of them wasn't
He
that
attacks
bad.
so slow.
One of them wasn't that
It's
bad,
very
but
easy to dodge.
dual katana
the
summon
dual
was
wheel, yeah, that
the
guy's
dual wheel
actually
guy.
a fucking pro
He's a
player.
menace.
Yeah.
he can 3-hit combo
I
you.
thought the one in Caelid was more annoying because there was
Oh, yeah,
more
crossbow.
summons.
Huge
of
disagree.
guys.
Yeah, I
Um,
also disagree.
I don't think it
he
was that
easier,
hard.
but I think that was more annoying.
Huge
Um,
disagree.
I don't
I think
think
the
so.
arena give Scarlet Rot's kind of annoying, but like compared to what the other variation can do to you with like how big his attacks are and how much damage they do, it's crazy.
Hmm
So
Yeah, like his frost whirlwind attack that takes up half
Oh
the
my
arena.
god, the get off me button, that shit is so annoying.
Yeah,
Please.
it's awful.
fighting.
So for me, most bosses, I wanted to do alone. Like me and Matt and Mason, we did like semi co-op with some bosses. Most part for me though, I wanted to do it all on my own. This boss, I had to summon Mason, and I was like, you know what, dude? This is when he was in like his rot breath phase where he just would rot breath everything. I was like, no man, fuck it.
Oh my
I
god.
need you to get in here and rot breath this guy before I punch my monitor.
That's totally not exactly
Like,
what
Justin
me and
literally
Quinn
used
did.
the same exact
That's
yeah.
literally what we
So
did
me and
versus
Justin
him.
fought him together, and Justin would just breathe on him, and I would just like take his aggro
no,
until he got Scarlet Rot.
Literally, we just waited for Scarlet Rot to kill him. I showed no shame against this guy. I had a very deep hatred for him.
So this
Yeah, same. I did not like this boss at all.
This fight actually was kind of fun in multiplayer because of two reasons. One, at least for me, it was definitely fun because a lot of the times it was me and Quent fighting, and Quent would get the aggro of both the boss and the other dude, and I'd probably get like the dual katana dude, but I'd use like either Blasphemous Blade or some shit and be able to beat him pretty easily. So I'd get like a 1v1, and that fight was pretty intense. And then Quent was just like running around the arena. And then once that happened, we did like a little strat where you could get the boss to half health without him going into phase 2. And it was pretty easy because his movesets, when he doesn't like get all like crazy and electrocuted, aren't bad at all. They're pretty easy to dodge. It was until he hit half health, he would like insta-kill his summon, but what we would do is we wouldn't kill the summon. And once we got him to 50%, we'd still like attack him because we knew we didn't have to worry about the summon because he would just destroy it. And the phase 2 is kind of toxic. I'm not gonna lie, that wasn't fun. But not the worst like multi-layer fight I've ever seen, but as a solo player, probably one of the worst fights. Maybe.
It's so bad in single player. It's actually like, if you don't have a mimic tier or someone to summon, it's terrible. It's not fun at all. It's just awful.
Tell you.
It's funny because I didn't even. This is one of the only bosses that I didn't fight co-op with you guys. I'm so close. I don't know. I enjoyed him. I thought he was fun. I thought that the summon idea was a little bullshit, but I didn't think it was too bad to the point where it was annoying. I thought it was because he just sat in the back. Like I don't even know if he attacked me while I was dealing with the summons.
He can do the whirlwind if you get too close to him. I think that's all he does though until you.
Yeah. So it kind of felt like you're like approaching the final boss in that fight. Like you got to beat his 2 fucking bodyguards or whatever. I thought the idea of it was cool, and I thought his attack patterns were cool. Yeah, I mean, he did give some of his attacks were a little bullshit, but I think he does. There's points where he literally just sits there for like 30 seconds. You could just wail on him, which I think kind of cancels it out. I thought he was really fun to fight. I feel like I killed the summons pretty quickly, so then I fought him for most of the fight, and that was. I thought 1v1 with him was pretty enjoyable.
It might be easier as a mage because like I did it with like strength, and it was pretty awful because like you have to get up close and they all like close on you. It's not great, but
yeah.
All right, and on that note, we will skip over the other unique, as I know for sure we'll see her again, and we will continue on to our 12th ranking. Or 11th ranking, sorry.
Oh god.
I hated her fight.
Over Nala?
Yeah, she just.
Yeah.
Her first days especially.
We'll see.
Do you like Deacon to the Deep?
Deacon to the Deep.
That's literally what she is in the first game.
No, I didn't.
Aw, damn.
Yeah, set by ours. All right, rank 11. We have Quent with Margit,
Oh,
Lich Dragon, with Margit, myself and Lich Dragon, and Colby with Radagon. All right, 2 Margits, a Dragon Lord, a Lich Dragon, and a Radagon. So let us start with some Margit action. Margit being one of the first bosses in the game. Quite a unique experience. Does Quent or Maddie B want to start with this one?
Maddie B should start because we're gonna agree on the same point, I think.
All right, so let me get this out of the way. So this is my first From Software game, right?
Yep.
Margit pulverized my ass. It was like the hardest boss fight. I just think for a beginning game boss, it was just a really solid beginning game boss. Like, obviously comparing it to some of the later game bosses, he's not like as flashy, and like his movesets don't look as cool. But I just think like his delayed swings, his like dagger attacks, second phase with the hammer. I think that was all just really good for a first boss.
He's a great teacher. Like,
yeah,
he kind of prepares you for like everything you got to deal with later. Delayed swings, an option that they could potentially have for range, big slam AoEs. He's a great teacher for sure. The only thing I don't like about Margit is like, so your options like really early in the game aren't amazing. So like if you encounter him early, he'll just roll you over and over. That is such a minor complaint though, because like his whole thing is like just to teach you and kind of like not to stabilize your build, but like to get a good idea of what you want to do, especially later in the game, because he like embodies like a little bit of everything.
I think he also did a really good job of like telling you that this isn't a linear game. You don't have to just go to the first boss. You can explore more. It's like, I know the first thing I did is when I saw him and started fighting him, I just kept trying to beat him and like getting him to like half health, get my ass kicked, and then I just kept going back in. And then obviously I learned in a little bit, hey, let me actually go out and level up and like get different gear. So I think that was really cool.
Another thing about Marg is like you can also summon for him. So like if you like are persistent at wanting to get past him, the game does give you enough options to like make it
Mhm.
possible. Because like you could get the homie sorcerer Rogier on the case,
Yep.
and he's good. Like everything about him is good. Like the only thing I don't like about him, as far as like a gameplay perspective, is like I think his arena can be a little small. I don't think it's even
Oh,
that bad. I just think it could be a little small.
yeah, I fell off
And
multiple times.
like when you're healing, like if you back up to heal, he'll always like for me, he always threw daggers at me.
Mhm.
Like which isn't a big deal because like he's basically like trying to teach you that you can't heal unless like you have to like do like a trade off. So like if he does like the giant hammer slam, that's like your opportunity to heal rather than just like backing up and healing because he's gonna punish you. So it's like again a good learning tool for like later. So yeah. But my only complaint is the battlefield you fight him in and how he can be a huge roadblock at first. But again, like you said, he kind of makes you get the idea that you need to explore more, just like get some more stuff. So
Mhm.
I don't think he's necessarily bad, but I think a lot of people get stuck on him and kind of like lose a lot of motivation. But that's about it.
I think I'd pretty much agree with everything both you guys said. I think he's a very well designed first boss for a game, for a From Software game, because it's kind of like, here's a difficult boss. If you're not ready for it, go explore. And it kind of encourages you to play the game at your own pace. And I think it's a good boss.
Yeah, Margaret's great. Definitely gonna be seeing more of him. Now we have our first Lich Dragon on the list. This guy's
Dude.
part of Fia's quest. I'll take over from here. So my experience with Fortisax was with Tyler. We were banging out Fia's quest. And although the way you spawn into his arena rather abruptly, it's a pretty sick fight. Immediately he's throwing AoE attacks all over the arena. And you have to get in close, obviously, but he has decent movement, like lower body options to swipe you away. So he's much more active than Dragon Lord's Phase 1. And he also has a ton of electricity attacks. I think the electricity attacks sort of get a little repetitive, like I said earlier, with all the dragons. But that being said, I think he's got a cool black shleek on him. I think that it's a decent dragon fight compared to all the dragon fights. I think the dragon fights overall can be on the repetitive side, but he's definitely one of the better fights in the game, as I think a lot of the dragon fights are. And I think I am happy to have him at 11. What else do we think about Fort Sax?
Don't have any
Yeah, I
problem with where you placed him.
yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think he's probably one of the coolest fights in the whole game.
I love Lich Dragon. Super.
Yeah, he's super cool. So yeah.
I love
I'll
his
agree with
lightning
that.
sword. That's like my favorite part about his whole
Mhm.
new set.
Mhm.
He just summons a lightning sword out of nowhere and just starts fucking swinging it like
Mhm.
crazy. It's cool.
Alright, another Dragon Lord from Tyler, but I think we'll see another one of those soon. Another Radagon. Alright, I think we can enter our top 10 for the gang. Going into it, we've seen one Rykard, two Margits. We're missing a few Dragon Lords, Lich Dragons, a few Radagons. And maybe some sleepers, maybe some uniques we haven't seen yet. I know for sure around the top 5 we might be seeing some new guys. Actually, we're going to be seeing several new people. What the fuck am I saying? Alright. On to the rank 10.
I'm scared.
Oh, fuck.
Me too.
I hope I didn't just move anyone.
And this one I'm like,
I don't remember. Oh, I think I remember who I put here. Yeah, I
Quint
remember who I put.
has Lich Dragon, Tyler has Radon, Maddie B has Estelle, I have Dragon Lord, and
no.
Colby has Melania.
What is this?
Whoa! A
I
rank
like how we all
10
kind of rated Dragon
Melania.
Lord, like on the lower side of things, though.
Has everyone put Dragon Lord?
No.
No, not
we're
everyone.
missing
I
a
think
Dragon Lord.
3.
I
So
think Colby and
Colby
Maddie
hasn't
have.
done it either.
Okay, my bad.
I wanted to make a quick point that I thought Dragon Better was a better fight than Lich Dragon because of how the variety he was. Although you guys definitely gave me incentive that Phase 1 is not as cracked up as I thought it would be. But I think that of the dragons, the Dragon Lord's the best dragon fight, so I ranked it one over the other. But in terms of style, I could see why
Lich
you'd want to
Dragon's
go
way
Lich
better.
Dragon. I still think that the Dragon Lord fight's a better fight overall.
I picked Lich Dragon solely off of style and not even like that he's a better fight than Dragon Lord. I literally just like prefer everything over him to Dragon Lord.
That's
Not even
fine.
like gameplay wise, just like style and like what he does.
But either way, we have two unique bosses
Tyler, we are not
here.
friends anymore.
Um,
Straight up, Tyler. What the
How
fuck?
dare you put Radon at 10?
I was waiting for Maddie B to attack me because
No.
um,
Radon is such a good fight.
Yeah,
Maddie
thank
B,
you.
Maddie B, but hey, remember what I said last night?
I know what you said last night.
Tyler, I'm
Yeah.
on your team here.
Okay,
here.
good. I don't get me wrong. I think the difference between my top 10 and 11 through 15 is massive. Like I said, I
Yeah,
think
same.
Radon's a very good boss. I do think that he looks stupid as hell on his tiny little horse.
Mhm.
Excuse
But
me,
he
sir.
learned gravitation
Bro,
magic
if
and
you-
all
yeah,
that.
he
God,
learned
he's
gravitation
actually
magic, so he didn't have to
mean. I
switch
hate it.
horses.
No.
Dude,
No,
it's-
you guys just can't appreciate the lore.
No, I think the lore is the only good thing. Not the only good thing.
Oh
No, one
my
of the only
god,
good things about
you're
him.
killing me
The
here.
fact that you could summon like 15 dudes, but you have to like run around the sand to do it,
Ah.
and like
You don't
I
have
guess
to
it's
summon.
cool that you have the option to do it, but it's like I don't know. I think his attacks were super cool. When he came in like a meteor, like I was like, oh shit, that's super sick.
I don't know.
I
if
don't
agree with you.
know. I think the arena's cool, but I didn't like the fact that you had to run into him. I guess the whole arrow attacks were cool.
Oh, no, disagree. You starting on the other side of a massive fucking desert for him to shoot arrows at you is obnoxious as fuck.
It's
Yes.
thematically brilliant, though.
No,
the only
that's
reason
stupid
why
as
I like
shit.
it is- The only reason why
I don't
like
care if
it
it's
is 'cause I
stupid.
think-
It's just brilliant.
I think his attacks are cool, but I hated it. I didn't like
That was
doing
so
it.
annoying.
Radon is a story fight. Like what I mean by that is
100%.
like he's like from the moment you fight him, like the start to the end, it is a cinematic battle between a fallen general demigod and a little boyo. It's fucking.
How am
epic
I
as hell.
supposed to take
That
him
is
seriously
great.
when he's on a
Horse.
pony?
Dude, it's like it's
That was his
great.
beloved horse, dude.
Yeah,
He
it's
didn't
like his
want
most
to
valiant
learn
steed of all
gravitation.
time.
Wait, he could like
Animal
he
abuse.
could.
It's
It's literally he could like keep it at his house and like give